Ibadan Polytechnic was not just known for its large campus and bustling student life, but also for an underground system of territories silently controlled by different student groups. These groups operated like unseen communities, each holding influence over certain parts of the school. Over time, the campus had become divided into zones, almost like invisible borders that every student understood without needing to be told. The northern side of the campus was known to be the stronghold of the Eiye lords. They moved quietly, but everyone knew that area was their space. The southern side belonged largely to the Blackaxe members, who were known for their strong presence and bold attitude. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers held influence around the central part of the institution, especially areas where students gathered socially. It was almost as if a map had been drawn over the school, marking who stayed where, even though no map existed. For a long time, there was an unspoken understanding among these groups. Each confraternity minded its own territory, avoiding anything that could lead to unnecessary trouble. As long as everyone stayed on their own side, life went on smoothly. Students went to lectures, cafes stayed busy, and the institution continued to function like any other. However, things took a different turn in 2022. The tension began when the second-in-command of the Buccaneers on campus bought a new vehicle. It was said to be a bright and noticeable SUV, something that drew attention whenever it passed. To his fellow Buccaneers, it was a sign of progress and pride. To other students, it was simply something new to admire. But to certain individuals on the southern side of the campus, it sparked something else. According to accounts, one afternoon, the Buccaneers second-in-command drove the SUV near the back gate of the Polytechnic, a place known to be close to Blackaxe territory. At this location, he encountered a few members of the Blackaxe. What started the argument between them was not fully clear. Some students believed the Blackaxe members might have felt he was intentionally showing off his new vehicle. Others believed that old personal tensions were already existing beneath the surface. What is known is that the conversation quickly changed from words to anger. Voices were raised. Tempers flared. No one had expected the situation to escalate, but in moments, it did. The disagreement turned into a physical confrontation, and the Buccaneers SUV became the center of the conflict. In the heat of the moment, some parts of the vehicle were damaged. Witnesses said that the second-in-command was forced to step back and leave the scene, but his pride and emotions were deeply affected. He drove home in silence, but his mind was burning with anger. When he reached home, instead of letting the matter settle or reporting the incident through common channels, he made a decision that would change the peace on campus. He took his firearm and went back to look for the Blackaxe members who had confronted him earlier. When he saw them again, he fired shots in their direction. Fortunately, those individuals managed to escape before anyone was harmed, but the message had already been sent. That single moment marked the beginning of a new tension across Ibadan Polytechnic. The Buccaneers felt they had been disrespected. The Blackaxe members felt they had been challenged. And the Eiye lords, whose territory bordered both sides, soon found themselves drawn into the conflict as well, even though they had nothing to do with the original incident. What had once been a balanced understanding among all three groups suddenly shifted. The campus atmosphere changed. People began moving differently. Students who had nothing to do with any of the confraternities could sense the tension, even without being told. It was not just a misunderstanding anymore, it had grown into a full-blown conflict that would later shake the institution in ways no one had expected. The incident at the back gate did not end that day. The moment the Buccaneers second-in-command fired shots and chased away the Blackaxe members, word spread quickly across the campus. Even though no one was physically hit, the action was seen as a direct challenge. The Blackaxe members involved were angered and humiliated, and the story traveled among their circle faster than any announcement could. What began as a disagreement over pride and territory was now turning into something much deeper. Within the Blackaxe camp, emotions were running high. They believed they could not simply ignore what had been done. To them, allowing such an act to go unanswered would make them appear weak. So plans were made. Their goal was simple: find a Buccaneer member and make him pay the price for the disrespect shown earlier. But in situations like this, anger often clouds judgment. Not long after the incident, members of the Blackaxe encountered a young man they strongly believed belonged to the Buccaneers. They did not ask questions. They did not verify. The young man was confronted and attacked. The situation escalated so quickly that the young man was left severely injured, lying helplessly afterwards. Those who later arrived believed he would not survive. However, by some stroke of luck and timely help, the young man managed to live. When the truth later surfaced, it shocked everyone who heard it. The young man was not a Buccaneer at all. He had no connection to the conflict that started everything. In fact, he was a member of another confraternity entirely, the pirate confraternity. He had simply been unfortunate enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. The Black Axe members, realizing they had targeted someone who had nothing to do with their dispute, did not stop their search. Their anger was still aimed at the Buccaneers, and in their minds, the score still had to be settled. Not long after, the Black Axe members came across another young man within the campus. This time, they were confident he was a Buccaneer. Once again, the confrontation was swift. The young man was taken down instantly, and this time, he did not survive. The news quickly spread around the institution, sending fear through students who were not part of any confraternity at all. People began moving more carefully. Routine activities changed. Nobody wanted to be caught at the wrong side of campus or at the wrong time. Interestingly, when news reached the Buccaneers, they initially denied knowing the fallen young man. They claimed he was not one of theirs. Some believed they said this to avoid making the situation worse. Others believed they simply did not recognize him. It was only later, after inquiries and discussions among members, that the truth came out. The young man was indeed a Buccaneer, but not from Ibadan Polytechnic. He was a member from another institution entirely, who had only come to visit someone on campus. The Buccaneers in Ibadan Polytechnic did not know him personally, so they did not recognize him at first. Yet somehow, the Black Axe members were able to identify him correctly. How they knew he was a Buccaneer from another school remained a mystery and became a topic of quiet discussions across campus. Some believed there were people who acted as informants. Others believed there were signs or symbols only members could interpret. No one knew for sure. What everyone did know was that this was the first life lost in the conflict. It changed the atmosphere completely. What had started as a personal dispute over a damaged car and bruised pride had now turned into something much larger. The peace that once existed, even if it was silent and unspoken, had been broken. The institution began to feel tense, and the situation was now beyond simple words or apologies. It was the beginning of a conflict that would shape the campus for months to come. The loss of the visiting Buccaneer member did not fade away quickly. Even though time passed, almost a full year, the memory of what happened remained fresh within the Buccaneers. Among their members, quiet discussions continued. The event was always brought up during their meetings, and many felt that their honor had been challenged. To them, the situation demanded a response. It was not simply about retaliation, it was about sending a message that the Buccaneers were not to be taken lightly. So, after a long period of planning and waiting, the Buccaneers finally decided to move. They assembled their members and directed their attention toward the southern part of the Polytechnic, the area known to be under the strong presence of the Blackaxe. That part of the school was considered the heart of the Blackaxe's influence, and going there meant they were making a bold statement. When the Buccaneers reached the Black Axe territory, they encountered several Black Axe members, including their recognized chairman within the institution. The atmosphere shifted immediately. What followed was a physical confrontation. The Black Axe members tried to defend themselves, but they were caught off guard. Even though they managed to escape the scene with injuries, the message was loud and clear: the Buccaneers had come for payback. But the Buccaneers were not done. Their focus shifted directly to the leader of the Black Axe on campus. They believed that taking the conflict straight to the leader would send the stronger signal. They moved with purpose, located him, and attacked. However, the Black Axe leader survived the encounter. Though physically shaken, he was more enraged than hurt. That same day, a voice note circulated widely across confraternity groups and campuses. In it, the Black Axe leader declared full war, not only on the Buccaneers but also on the Air Lords. His tone was stern, emotional, and decisive. What confused many was that the Lords had not been directly involved in the events that sparked the conflict. The original issue had been strictly between the Buccaneers and the Black Axe. Yet the leader's voice note mentioned both groups. Some believed this decision came from suspicion. Others believed it came from older, unresolved tensions that had existed quietly in the background. Whatever the reason, the declaration changed everything. Once the declaration was made, the Black Axe hit squad began moving. They left the campus and went into the surrounding streets, looking for rivals. While they were out, they spotted a Buccaneer member. He was said to be in the company of his girlfriend at the time and unaware that he was being followed. He was believed to have been among the group that attacked the Black Axe members earlier, so he became their target. The attack happened quickly. The news of this spread just as fast as the voice note. The Buccaneers responded with their own voice note, declaring that they had officially entered into open conflict with the Black Axe. This message also traveled around the institution and reached confraternity circles beyond Ibadan Polytechnic. At the same time, the Lords heard that their name had also been included in the Black Axe declaration. They felt insulted and targeted without cause. To them, remaining silent would make them appear weak. So, their leader also issued a declaration, stating clearly that the Lords were now involved and would defend their territory. What had once been a conflict between two confraternities had now grown into a full three-sided confrontation. Students who did not belong to any confraternity felt the tension instantly. The campus atmosphere changed. People began avoiding certain areas, moving differently, and leaving school earlier than usual. Even the air around the institution felt heavier, as if something could happen at any time. This marked the beginning of one of the most tense periods in the history of Ibadan Polytechnic. Following the multiple declarations and confrontations, the atmosphere across Ibadan Polytechnic grew tense. Yet surprisingly, after all the heated exchanges, there was a temporary calm. For about 2 weeks, there were no major incidents. Students moved more carefully, and many hoped the tension was beginning to fade. Some people believed both sides were tired, while others believed peace talks were happening quietly behind closed doors. However, this calm was only the quiet before another storm. After those 2 weeks passed, the Black Axe hit squad moved again. Their target was a young man inside the school. The confrontation was swift, and the young man was taken down. Soon after, the Black Axe claimed that he was a member of the Lords. The Lords, however, released information that contradicted this claim. They stated clearly that the young man was not one of theirs. To them, he was an ordinary student who had no involvement in any confraternity activities. This disagreement caused confusion, and many neutral students felt shocked and unsettled. It raised an uncomfortable question: if someone who was not involved could be targeted, then who was truly safe? The situation escalated further when the Black Axe squad made another move. This time, they targeted a well-known Lord member called Stainless. Stainless was recognized within the confraternity circles and known by many students. His fall sent a strong message across campus. It confirmed that the earlier calm had not been peace, but a waiting period. After this incident, the institution could no longer ignore what was happening. School authorities stepped in and contacted law enforcement. Police presence increased sharply around the campus. Patrol vehicles were stationed at strategic points. Security checks became frequent. This new environment made it extremely difficult for any confraternity to carry out attacks within school grounds. Moving around the campus became risky for anyone planning retaliation, and the groups had to reconsider their strategies. Since the campus was now heavily monitored, the conflict shifted beyond the school gates. The confraternity members decided to take the confrontation into the streets of Ibadan. The first group to make a major move outside the school premises were the Buccaneers. Their target was believed to be the recognized Black Axe chairman in Ibadan. The Buccaneers located him and took him down. The news spread quickly, marking a significant turning point in the conflict. However, the Buccaneers did not stop there. Shortly after, they also located another Black Axe member somewhere within the town and took him down as well. These incidents increased tension across Ibadan city. Students and residents alike began moving more carefully. Ordinary people who had nothing to do with the confraternities became fearful of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. What started as a disagreement over pride had now spiraled into a street-level conflict affecting an entire city. It is important to pause and reflect on the core lesson here. Lives were affected. Families were left in pain. Education was disrupted. Friendships were broken. There were no true winners. Each action only brought more reaction, and the cycle continued without end. This story is shared for awareness and education. Please, say a no to cultism. Say a no to violence and criminal activities. Say yes to peace, progress, and meaningful growth. Choosing peace protects your future. Choosing violence destroys it.